vans and had like an armful of jars of pickles.
Yeah.
You know, and I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, who the fuck is this guy?
This is, okay. You know, and I didn't work the dinner, but I talked to Ian, he was the pastry chef at Horizon at the time. He was telling me about all the stuff with the menu, and at the time, Sean was still really heavy into molecular gastronomy.
Yes.
You know, there was a deconstructed Snickers bar that was
okay.
The dessert that was also, you know...
like maltodextrin powders and...
Well, the thing about it is, like, you know, he was telling all the guys that, like, you know, look, you can go down to the patent office and get the ingredients list for Snickers anytime you want, you know, and that's what we did. We went and we figured out what was in it and figured out how we could get these things and, like, make something similar.
Cool.
Using, you know, nicer ingredients or whatever. And that was a dessert at Mcleod's for years, I think. But, like, me being this young cook that hadn't really done anything or been anywhere, it was just like, holy shit, man. Like, this guy's how far away? In Charleston? That's like 4 hours. It's 3.5 hours. Like, I can go check that out, you know? And it became this compulsion that, like, I need to go. This is the first stop for me to, like, get a glimpse of this world.
Yeah.
And so I started staging at Mcleod's, like, whenever I had time off at the restaurant.
Yeah.
And the first time I ever went down there, you know, the first thing I ever did was like clean a whole tray of chanterelle mushrooms. I'd never seen them before.
Yeah.
It was like, and it was just like the coolest fucking thing. And then he, you know, Cuddy brought out like a hotel pan of octopus that had just been braising and like cleaned that.
Yeah.
Took all the tentacles off. I thought it was just like everything that happened.
It was so
the
cool.
most mundane task that you can think of. But every single one of them was so fucking cool to me because I'd never seen this product before. I'd never, like, it was all new.
Yeah.
You know? And I remember vividly all of the people. There was, I think it was only like 8 people that worked at Mcleod's at that time. And back then, it was consistently in like the top 5 of Forbes list. You know, it was one of like the highest rated restaurants nationally in Charleston. They were really competitive with how they were driving their cuisine forward, and that was really attractive to me because like I was like merging these two worlds of like this high level creativity, this you know anxiety ridden, just adrenaline fueled pump, you know, grunt work kind of stuff, you know. I was like, okay, well, this is an example of what's possible. You know what I mean? And seeing the 8 people that just ran the fuck around there with their hair on fire all day long to serve this like really meticulous, beautiful food for 3.5 hours.
Yeah,
was just the coolest thing I'd ever seen. And I was like, I don't know shit. And because at the time, I'm like, I've been cooking for 2 years.
Yeah.
You know, like, I kind of know, like, I know how to make hollandaise. I can do this. I can, you know, whatever. And I was like, I don't know shit. And if I ever want to, I need to figure out how to be more like that guy over there. And that guy over there. And that guy. And so I just listened, and I kept going back, and I kept listening. And I kept like hearing more about, okay, well, this person came from this place, and this person came from this place, and you know, this person came from this place, and all this kind of stuff, and did a lot of research, just learning about restaurants and catching myself up with all of this
stuff that has just happened,
decades and decades of cuisine. You know, you try to cram it. For me, I try to cram it in like 2 years or whatever, and just like understand the baseline level of what everybody's talking about. And around that time, you know, I decided to go to culinary school. Same kind of thing, like that you described. My parents, they went to school. They both had master's degrees. They thought it was really important. I had a really horrible experience with college. I didn't feel like that going to another one was going to be right for me. But at the same time, I had this kind of thought that, like, okay, well, I know that I want to settle in Asheville one day. You know, if I go to the culinary school here, at least like and finish, I at least have a certificate that I completed a program in the relevant field that I want to be in. So if I need to go to the bank and say, you know, hey, I'm looking for a loan to open a restaurant, here's part of the credentials that I have, I will at least have that. Not only that, like I was the only grandson and all of the other grandchildren that in my grandmother's life had all graduated college.
Yeah.
And so it was important to me to like give her the opportunity to see me graduate from a program, So I did the culinary program at AV Tech, and for all the gaps and all the blind spots that culinary schools kind of largely have, I think that a community college program like them, a technical school that does not burden students with this incredible amount of debt,
yes,
is a wonderful avenue for people. Where I get on the side of fuck culinary school is when people come out of there with $150,000-$200,000 in debt.
Yeah.
With no real skills, that you're still going into an entry level job.
That's where I'm at.
But my experience was I was in state. At the time, Grove Park had a policy of tuition reimbursement, and so I qualified for a Pell Grant since I didn't have a bachelor's degree already.
Yep.
And so I got my tuition paid for and a Pell Grant. So effectively, I got $1,000 a semester to go to culinary school.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like I did not have that same experience as a lot of other people coming out of it with this massive amount of debt.
Yes.
And so that in that way, I saw the value of continuing and finishing the program. Had it been different, had I had gone to a Johnson & Wales or a CIA or whatever, fucking forget about it.
Yeah.
So in between the 2 years, you have your internship, and I did my internship at Mcleod's. That was the only place that I wanted to go. They had a 250-mile radius of, where you could go from Asheville to do your internship, and so I went there and I did that. It was in the summer of 2011, I believe. Husk Charleston had just opened that previous fall.
Gotcha.
When I first started going and staging at Mcleod's is right around the time that they were leading up to Husk opening. And,
okay.
Sean had handed off the day-to-day to Jeremiah in the kitchen at Mcleod's.
Who are some of the other cooks?
So Dano was the executive sous chef.
Okay.
And interestingly, their Buddy was there for years. John started kind of right around the time that I came in the kitchen, like staging the first time in 2009 or 2010.
Yeah.
And he worked there for 9 years. There was Andrew Clamar that was the meat cook. He's doing the South Hall Farms in Tennessee now.
Yeah.
There was Aaron Silverman, who was the meat/fish cook, who had Pineapple and Pearls.
Okay.
And Rose's Luxury in D.C. Winburn was the pastry chef, Winburn Carmack. And who else? There was a couple other people as well. That was like the main core. Lucas was the AM sous chef.
So it was like the Chicago Bulls of restaurants at that time.
I'll tell you, like it was, it was really. You couldn't have asked for a better example of like, this is a professional kitchen to somebody like me at that time, and it was tremendously. It changed my life immediately from that day. From that time that I had a sheet tray of chanterelles.
Yeah.
I was never going to be the same. I knew it. I knew it right then that like my life was going to be different forever. And so the experience of the internship was great. I came in at 8:30, 9 o'clock every day and left at 2 o'clock. And in the middle of the summer in Charleston, like you think that when you walk out the back door, the temperature is going to be different from the hot kitchen, and it's fucking not. It's just like this hot, wet Jello mold.
There's no comfort.
It's just no. It's all like, the first like 10 days that I was there, I was just working cold side. I was sweating so much that by 10:30 in the morning, I had like rashes on my eyelids from wiping my face with seafold towels.
Oh yeah.
And it just never stopped. I really I had a tremendous experience. I just worked cold apps and I covered pastry for Winburn. And I tried to help out with other things, where I could. I was extremely lucky as an intern to be able to work service and to work the line at a place like that. And I tried not to take advantage of that and make myself into something that I wasn't.
Yeah.
My goal was to just contribute. All I wanted to
be
do
a student
was to contribute to what they were doing. And I felt really privileged. I got fucked with a lot.
I'm sure.
It was a really old
fucking
school kitchen.
hardcore, dude. Those guys
at that point
put cigarettes out on you.
McCready's was not quite that bad. It was it was mostly really verbal stuff.
Yeah.
And I think you and I really understand what it means to work in a traditional kitchen.
Yes.
Yes. And I don't think that it's really beneficial. I've never found it beneficial.
No.
To share war stories and talk about the worst parts of that.
Yes.
Especially in my management career, because I feel like that when I do that, if I'm just telling a story that's a joke, because that something funny happens in it, I feel like what comes across in that through other people's perceptions is here's some context to explain why if my behavior goes over the line that it should be okay with you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I hear you.
And I try to really avoid that as much as possible.
I hear you that.
But suffice it to say, it was extremely difficult, and I was very fulfilled. Made some lifelong friendships, and that was a wonderful experience.
Mm-hmm.
So I came back to finish culinary school. At the time, I was still working at Grove Park, but I had also, before going down to McCready's, had participated in the opening for Karate.
Okay.
They opened in February of 2011, and so I was part of that opening team. And so I was doing kind of double duty. I was also doing the student competition team that second year when I came back, and that was just a lot of stuff.
Oh, dope.
Whenever we were on a break from school, I would stage. I staged at Minibar and a few other places that I could drive to.
Yeah.
When back then.
There was no flying out.
Well,
sometimes, but
that when you make no money and the little bit of money that you do make, you drink it.
Yeah.
Which was my experience. And then a guy that I met the first time that I staged at McCready's and had become a really close friend, he was moving out to Cali to work with Josh at Saison. And he made that move in the end of 2011. And so I went out there and staged while I was still in school, got offered a position, and I decided that was where I was going to go. I was moving to San Fran. I was going to work with Josh.
At that point, 2011, what was the food like at Saison?
So Saison was still in the Mission on Folsom Street behind the Stable Cafe.
Okay.
And that was the original space. And so there was, I think, 24 seats plus the counter.
Okay.
That 4-seat chef's counter that was in the kitchen. And so the most covers we ever did while I was there was 36.
Okay.
And so it was, I think 16 courses was the normal menu, and the extended menu for the counter was 24.
Okay. Yep.
And that was it. There was one menu. This is, what they did.
Yeah.
Take it or leave it kind of thing.
And that menu, did it have things that stayed on it for a long time, or was it constantly just grind changes?
There were some definite linchpins to it. There was the brassica dish.
Okay.
That was consistent. Some of the components, like the particular leaves and stuff, would change based on just what you could get at the market and stuff. But that course remained largely the same. The really, really old bird, the quail dish that was super aged, 90-day aged, that kind of went out towards the end of 2011, beginning of 2012. But that was on the menu for a long time.
Okay.
But mostly fall and winter season, obviously.
Yeah.
The green salad that was 80 different components. That was